Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. The virtual collage jam is back on. I hope you're all happy to be back in collage land, as am I. I'm feeling nicely refreshed. Not fully refreshed, but nicely refreshed, so good to be back. Hope you're doing well, your gardens are doing well, you're getting outside a bit more now, like we are. Still not as much as we'd like, but a little bit. So, what else? What else is there to say? We, what did we do on our little time off? Not enough, but we were both really exhausted, and we're still, Kim is still pretty exhausted, and I am somewhat, although we're back from the brink a little bit. Definitely looking forward to our break in August.
Mid-August.
Yeah. So, but this time we did a lot of sleeping, a lot of catching up on our rest, and still had a fair bit of stuff to do, and there are backlogs of various things. So, hey, Gerda, welcome back. Nice to see you. Yes, I do feel a little rested. Definitely better than the end there, at the end of the spring term. So, yeah. Looking forward to getting this party started. So, I have a, hey Annie, welcome aboard.
There, I finally got the live stream.
And Kim is just joining us now. So, hey Francoise. I was just saying not enough actually, but still, I slept like 12 hours a few times and 10 hours several other times. So we both really needed rest. So we did a lot of that. Hey Mira, have you got your armor on, Mira? Ready to roll? Yeah, and hey Val, welcome back. Yes, I saw you had a conceptual art piece for Canada Day. Have the idea, but the hands weren't ready, right? So, hey Jane, welcome back. So I have just a few housekeeping things to mention, and then we'll get this party started. First off, I got a few bounce backs, and which I mentioned in the last email to you guys. And so if you don't mind just putting the address that my notification emails come from, which is kimandcal@me.com. It's the same one you get your reminders from. Put that in your address book, and that way it will not get bounce backs. And I think a few of you must have, because I sent out to the whole list last night and only got one bounce back. So that sounds good. Or the last time I did it to the whole list, I got like 5 or 6. So perfect. Thank you. If you haven't done it, do it. Make sure you don't miss out. One of the things I did while I was away is I scanned a bunch of the collages that I did last year and some that I've been doing this year and put them up on my website. So go take a look. They're not all there yet, but there's a whole slew of new collages. And so hopefully you'll enjoy taking a look at some of those. Some of them I posted in the Facebook group. And what else? There's one other thing. The other thing was, I have Collage Explorations, which is my my sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not coming to me. Stalwart, my flagship. Flagship is the word I'm looking. My flagship online collage course, Collage Explorations, starts up again on Thursday. And if you are interested in joining us, we have a couple spots left. So just check my website for that on the teaching tab. I think other than that, it's time to get this party started. So Kim has been so Kim has been monitoring the chat for me. She's shoveling in a little bit of lunch. I'm going to push this back so we can see a little more.
Shall I catch you up on the chat?
Please, chat, catch me up.
Well, first of all, who have we got some hellos from? You said hi to Gerda. Annie is here.
Hi, Annie. Yeah.
And Francoise.
Hey, Francoise.
Who asked what you did to What did you do to rest?
Yes, and I covered off the fact that I did some and not enough, as usual.
There were loose ends. There were things to prep. There were things that came up. And we also discovered that since, in the 10 years since we took our year off, we have lost a lot of time off taking skills.
Yeah, we're bad at taking time off. We kept finding things to do, and I'll just wrap up this loose end, and I'll do this, and do you want to go for a walk? No, I got to get this done. And meanwhile, we're also working at like quarter or 10th speed because our brain is just so done, right? Yeah. Kim had an opportunity to be on television, so she said, I don't want to miss that. I said, and she said, no, I'm going to do it. So, and so she had to, because they can't send a camera crew, she had to do it herself. So she shot a bunch of the stuff for her, and
which meant I had to tidy the studio.
Yeah, she had to tidy the studio, which was a disaster. I know it may look like a disaster, but it looks a lot less like a disaster.
It's a much calmer disaster.
Exactly, a calmer disaster. that should be our handle, a calmer disaster.
Seriously. Well, if we ever do a joint channel, we should.
Joint channel, calmer disaster.
Yeah. So Mira said hi.
Hello.
Welcome back to the battle.
Yep. Ready.
Valerie says, glad you are back. I need some motivation.
You and me both. So
and you saw that Jane was here.
I saw that Jane.
Hi and welcome back.
Hey Jane. But I can say hi again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Francois says, glad you got some needed sleep.
Yes, sleep makes me a happy guy. Yeah. So
Ruth says hi.
Hey Ruth.
Gunta says, you sure do look refreshed. Welcome
that's good. Yeah, I do. I'm saying that I'm still tired, and I am, but I definitely have come back from the brink significantly. So yeah.
It helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barbara Godfrey says, hi, first time here.
Oh, welcome along, Barbara. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you're joining us. And
she adds, have been watching your previous videos and Kim's as well. Awesome work. Look forward to participating.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you've sort of had a chance to watch a few to get caught up and just get a feel for it. I mean, you can see from what we do, it's very low key, very fun, friendly. But when you're in person, we get to have chats back and forth, which is nice. So that'll be great. So yeah.
Adele says,
hey, Adele.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back. And she later added, Cal, I have to say how impressed I am with the time and effort you take to comment on all the collages. he is admirable that way, guys.
I'm not quite caught up yet, but I do want... And forgive me if I don't get to it as quickly as I would prefer, but I do like to participate, right? Part of the reason I did this is because I like having artistic community. I like having artists around to converse and think and talk about art. So we get to do it in person, and I also like doing it online. I sometimes...
Even if you can't get to all of them, you do your best, right?
Yeah. So the last few days I've done a few little hits, and I think I'm only like 10 or 15 people away from being caught up. So, and bravo to you guys who kept going.
Yeah.
Because I saw that the summer, I can't even remember what the summer one. There was Canada Day and the other summer prompt, but that people were doing that. That's great. So. And I should, before I forget, I should shout out to Leah Dockrell. Congratulations and yay for getting the award with that piece. That's great. Yeah.
What award was that?
Good question. I can't remember the exact name of it.
It's in the group, though,
it is
right?
in the
Excellent.
on the Facebook. Yeah, it was it was in the people category of presumably online, right, Lee? I don't even know whether you're with us, but anyway, if you catch it on the replay, congratulations.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always great when one of our tribe gets an award.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Rebecca says hi.
Hey, Rebecca. Yes, and lovely. Yours was one of the last pieces I was commenting on this morning. The lungs piece. That's a powerful piece. Yeah. lungs.
How very topical.
Yeah, and it was trees, but it's also
Yes.
the lungs of the planet. So it was
I do love that.
Yeah, good piece. So
I love that metaphor. There's still more.
But wait, there's more.
Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Missed your inspiration. She says, Ricky, hoping you had a good vacation. She's happy to be back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Annie said, yes, I love reading your comments to the pieces too. So much learning. And hi, Gunta. She said hi, Kim. Barbara Godfrey adds, working studio is better than a pretty studio.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
There are lots of pretty studios on YouTube.
Yeah,
I have to say.
Kim spends a lot of time online, not nearly way more than I do. And something she's been watching recently are a bunch of videos of people's giving tours of their studio. And I look over her shoulder and I say, do they do anything in there? The floor is gleaming. All the surfaces are clean. Everything's in drawers. I mean, it's the dream, right?
Well, not even just in drawers, but within the drawers, they have
it's
all these organized
and I could only hope for such organization, but
it's beautiful.
As soon as I get busy, right, the collage bomb goes off and there's stuff everywhere, right?
Collage bomb. How true. Sherry and Gunta are both asking about the TV show I'm on. So it's
over to
on
you,
Kim. Camoways TV. I don't know. It's spelled like cameo, but with the O and the E reversed.
Transposed.
And they're available. It's available on Bell 5 and Rogers, but I'm not sure which. Like if it's geographically limited, or you may have to subscribe to it. Anyway, they do post their episodes on their website, but at a delay.
Right.
So when it is available on their website, I will be posting about that.
Right.
With a link. So because I can't watch it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it turned out. I'm one of several artists and musicians that Stella Jurgen featured on yesterday's episode.
Yeah. So
and I'm excited but nervous to see how it turned out. So thanks for asking.
Yeah. So we'll let you know when it's available online. Probably the easiest way to watch it.
Yeah.
So is there anything else? Okay,
Mia,
all right.
Mia's
Hey,
here,
Mia.
says hello. Debbie says hi.
Hi,
Glad
Debbie.
to be here.
Yay.
It's been a long while.
Yeah.
Rebecca says thanks for your nice comment about her lungs piece. Slade says welcome back. You look refreshed.
Oh, thank you, Slade. Welcome back, you.
Rena Gottesman's here. Welcome
Hey,
back.
Rena.
Sounds like you had a busy but good time off.
Yes, definitely good.
Nancy Messon says, nice to see you again.
Rena was one of the ones chastising me for not being fully off when I was replying to emails or commenting on something or whatever.
Bless you, Rena.
Thank you for trying, Rena. I am an unruly child that way.
I said
Nancy Messam. Yeah, hi, Nancy.
Val adds, my studio hasn't been clean and organized in years.
No, it's better that way, right? Yeah.
And finally, Sherry says, for my birthday, my family bought me 4 leader frames, my favorite Masonite back pop-in, pop-out frames. I used them at Sheridan a lifetime ago. I've spent time framing and hanging in my studio. And Philippa has just popped in to say hi.
Hi, Philippa. Welcome aboard. So, Sherry,
so
post a couple of pictures of your frames with collages in them in your studio in the group so that we can take a look. Yeah.
Inquiring minds.
We want to see. So.
Look at this adorable young guy here.
So hold on. Finally get caught up in the comments and about to talk about it, and she's like trying to steal it away from me to show it.
I'm sorry. You're just so cute.
I'm glad you think so. So so beneath the surface or below the surface, that can go so many different ways. And I put on my thinking cap this morning and I I thought about the fact that I guess I was thinking about all the things that I still had to do, my long to-do list. As Kim says, you're going to die with that to-do list. Don't kill yourself over it. And I was just thinking about being carefree in a child and then all the things that weigh you down as an adult. So I did a sort of quick brain dump of all the things. And it's by no means all of them, but it's a start anyway. Things that weigh on my mind, or even things that I like to do, but that I have to juggle. And I thought I would somehow cover over a picture of my much younger self. So this is, I went to an old photo album, and this is a picture of me when I was, I think it's either grade 2 or grade 3. Of course, it doesn't say on the back, but there he is. So.
Isn't he adorable? I think so.
Well, I know you were adorable as a young Pook, so it's only fair that she thinks so. So I haven't even figured it out yet, but I was thinking of strips and maybe covering over my face with the strips, maybe so that you can lift them up and sort of see what's underneath the surface, the boy under the man, or snowed under the man's obligations, or whatever. And I also thought I bought a little sampler set a while ago of the acrylic gouache. And so I'm thinking I might color the strips or do some partial painting on the photograph. And that's as far as I've got. I haven't figured out colors. I think I'll stick with my usual 6x6 size, though. Have to have something consistent, right? So that's where I'm going to start. And why don't you guys let me know in the comments, and Kim can pass them along what you're up to, what you're thinking. Are you doing something on the below the surface? I was on the Kim's studio party on Saturday, and we were asking people what they were doing, and Françoise said she was already working on Monday's quote. It's like, I said, "You're a keener. You're going to be done before we even get to Monday."
She is a marvel.
Although she'll have 5 done if I know her. So, right, Françoise?
So I just want you to know that there's a general agreement that you are absolutely adorable and cute. And some mention that the 2 of us are cute.
We'll have to, on a future jam or studio party, we'll have to get out one of Kim's running around as Batman pictures. Because you will then see the cuteness personified.
Aw. Nero would like to know what kind of paper you're using for that photographic print. Is that the premium bond?
So yes, it's a premium bond. So it's a little thicker.
32 pound or 28 pound? That's 28 pound, I think.
Okay, so the paper expert says it's 28-pound premium bond, and I think it's hammer mill. And
it's acid free.
And it's acid free, and it's actually, our printer does, well, the printer I printed this on, we have a few, as you may know, does up to 13 by 19, so that's what this is. So is it a special order from Staples, or did you buy it somewhere else, or?
Either Staples or Amazon. I can't remember which at this point. We don't buy the 13 by 19 as frequently as the letter size, so that's why I can't remember. No,
we buy like a ream of 500, and it lasts quite a while because we normally use the 11 by 17, which is much easier to come by. But this is it's a slightly nicer quality, and so that's why I used it. So.
Françoise says, like your t-shirt.
Oh, yes. So my niece made this for me many years ago. My niece is also very artistic. And
she's an artist. She's not just artistic.
She is an artist.
She's a professional
artist. She's a professional artist. So, yes.
It's hard to adjust for the fact that she's now over 30.
Yeah, she's over 30, and niece and over 30 just doesn't compute. So, but she did it. She found she knew I was interested in cycling, so she found a chainring graphic and then printed it, and then it's a black T-shirt, but it was painted using bleach. So the bleach revealed most blacks to be dark enough black are pre-dyed with another color first, and so that you can see sort of a salmon-y color. So it might have had a red underneath, but the bleach has removed the black and most of the red. So it's got this nice sort of a salmon color.
It doesn't work on all black dyed fabrics, even T-shirts. It depends on the kind of dye they use, whether bleaching will do that.
Right.
So you have to test it.
Yeah.
Slade says, try getting used to having a daughter over 40. Yeah.
Yeah. It just keeps happening. Like they just keep getting older, and like, how come they keep getting older?
Yeah. Yeah, I know when I hit 50, I was very cognizant of the fact that that would be quite a shock for my parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let alone for us. Yes, when I think about the fact that my next landmark is 60, that just doesn't feel possible.
Yeah.
Long way in the future. You know,
All
still
right.
have to get to 40, have to get to 50. Oh, wait, right. Did those already.
Yeah. Well, we can always redo them.
Yeah, maybe we should. I liked it so little the first time, I'm going to do it again.
Jane has a question.
Fire away, Jane.
What do you do in your collage exploration class?
Good question. So we cover a lot of the sort of basics, but in a different way each time. So we cover something to do with value, something to do with color, and it's designed to be sort of an ongoing thing. So I cycle through a bunch of ideas. Sometimes they're more esoteric, like doing something like dealing with, what was one of the ones we did? Stability and dynamism within the same composition, having sort of color restrictions to explore limited palette.
It gives you a directed workout.
Yeah. So cover a lot of different things, but it follows more or less a similar format. There's a bit of working time during every class. There is art history every class, so you can see a bunch of interesting collage work. We usually look at, with my online courses, I have a Facebook group that works at the same time. So you can just like Collage Jam, but you can post to it and I comment on it, and then we look at it as a group. So people post their homework there, and we'll look through it together and talk about it to sort of stand in for, you know, when we have it at class at Nielsen or wherever, people sit around and we look at what people have done for homework. That sort of stands in for that. So it works kind of nicely live, and then on Facebook as well. And just like the Collage Jam, I record it so you can, and I email you a link to it, and it's a private link on YouTube. So if you're taking the course, you can rewatch any part that you want to rewatch. So.
Mira says the most exciting part of the course is the critique of their work.
Right. Yes. It's always exciting to see. I love coming up with an interesting challenge for artists because I love an interesting challenge as an artist. So, so we usually do something short during class and then a longer version of it for homework, and people can engage with it to whatever degree they want and then post it, and then we take a look, right? And it's like it's like Christmas morning when going to the Facebook page to see what everyone's done. So.
Back to the age thing. Ruth says mine too, and in only 6 months for me. So I.
Oh. You will be perpetually young, Ruth.
Yes, that's right. And Sherry says 60 is the new 40.
I'll go with that.
Marion asks, you probably said already, but when does the collage exploration class start?
I did, but I'm happy to repeat it. It starts on Thursday and it goes from 10 a.m. till 12:30.
So Thursday this week.
This Thursday, the 16th, is when it starts. And if you're interested, go to my website at calhoney.ca, and there is a teaching page where you can either pay by PayPal or sending me an Interact transfer. And it's I think I forgot to say 5 classes, $125. I don't have a runoff sheet, so I'm going to use one of my old lesson plans.
Oh, and look who's joined us, Edith.
Hey, Edith.
Here from France.
Bonjour.
From France. Hello, Kim and Cal. Happy to join you again. Hope you had good holidays. Edith from Lyon.
Bonjour, Edith. Bienvenue à Collage Jam.
So it's evening.
Yes, it's going to be pretty late, isn't it?
Well, yeah, evening. Like 7:30, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Mira says, yes, the new 40s, but wiser. Yes. Yes, but boy, I sure wish I could have parts of my 40-year-old self right now. That would be nice. Yes, good start.
Kim and I both say we misspent our youth by not doing all the things the youthful things you're supposed to do. We both became workaholics very early on.
Yeah.
And didn't do all the crazy stuff that you're supposed to do. So
if we haven't started doing enough crazy stuff before we're 60, 60 is our deadline to get started.
Yeah. So you may find us
backpacking around Europe with or without masks, depending on the situation with the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know?
Going to raves and doing all kinds of illicit drugs. Oh wait, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. Yeah.
I'd love to go to some more music festivals, but just skip the drugs part. I'm too clean cut for that.
Yeah. I can't. I have trouble with big crowds now.
Yeah, well, that's...
remember when we went to the U2 concert?
Yes.
And we stood right at the stage. We got standing room only tickets, which were actually cheaper. And you got to be right at the foot of the stage.
Yeah.
And that was great because you were crowded there, but because visually all of the crowd was behind you.
Right. You weren't aware.
It didn't bother me. Yeah.
You didn't have to see them all. You actually weren't really in it as much because we were close to the stage.
Yeah. So we were really more closer to the actual stage action.
I know lots of people don't like U2. They're kind of, but we're fans. Yeah. And we found one thing that they did very clever and democratic. They made their seats their standing room only on the floor cheap. If you wanted to sit down and have a reserved seat, it was like very expensive.
4 times the
Yeah,
price.
like 4 times the price. I think like $250. But for $50, you'd have to line up so you could get in, but you could stand, and you're standing all night. So there's that, right? But
well, the
you get
Asian squat comes in handy.
You get way closer, and it's way more intimate. We were like a few rows back from the stage edge, and so if you're harder core, you get a discount and you get a better view.
And it means that they have their real fans.
Yeah, they have the fans that are really want to be there are the ones that are closest to the stage, which makes it a better experience for them as performers, right? Not just like, right? And actually, we did buy reserve tickets one time previously, and you know, we ordered them through their club, and we were still way back.
Yeah.
And Kim said, at least we have a seat. And we ended up standing all day anyway, because as soon as the music started, everyone stood up and stayed standing. So it's like, if you want to see it, you have to stand up anyway. So
yeah, Ruth mentions that. She says everyone ends up standing at concerts anyway.
Yes.
And it's way more fun standing right at the stage. I do the same. Good for you, Ruth. I mean, not everybody can do it, but if you can, you know, or you can get in training for it. It's way better. The time we bought the reserved seating tickets, it had been so long since I'd been at a big stadium concert that I forgot myself, and I wore
wait for it
fancy boots with heels.
Yeah. And she you know, stood up when everyone stood up, and she said, I hope this is not going to happen all night, because these heels are killing me. And I'm like, sorry to break it to you, honey.
I could barely hobble to our car, which was, of course, miles away because of a concert. So anyway, Marion says, it's never too late to do crazy stuff, but do it COVID style. Oh, I love hearing that, Marion.
Yeah.
At 70 plus years, I'm doing early morning round trip cycling workouts to the lake and back, approximately 17 kilometers.
Wow.
I am so impressed. Oh my God. That's amazing. Ruth says, LOL, I would take the boots off, and you'd probably be smart. I have tender tootsies, and this was downtown Toronto. So there's some concern about things that could pierce your feet.
I mean, and if she had taken them off indoors, she wouldn't have got them back on to get back to the car because of her feet swelling up. So
but I know that wouldn't have stopped some people, including probably you, Ruth.
And I try to be gallant, but I'm not strong enough to carry you all the way back. Maybe piggyback, but it would have been...
That would have been hard. It didn't quite come to that. It almost did,
but not quite.
Yeah. Oh, what's that nice little bottle?
So so Kim was probably reading comments when I mentioned that I'm breaking out my acrylic gouache.
Yes, lovely.
So I am gonna just use a little bit of that.
The bottles are so cute.
The bottles are very cute.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little art supply.
It's one of the very few things Kim doesn't have. Someone commented on how much stuff Kim has, and it's true. She has a lot of art stuff. But
it's because I do so many different things, you know? And that's my nature, so.
Oh, I just have I have the planning of a...
Uh-oh.
It's all right. I remembered.
Okay.
Yeah, I remembered in time, fortunately. It's like...
Gotta get those clean edges, eh?
Guilty as charged. That's the designer in me.
Yeah. Ruth says it's pretty bad when you go to Blues Fest and stand at the stage, and then after the concert, your daughter says, "Oh God, Mom, I saw you on the Jumbotron." LOL.
It is a parent's obligation to embarrass their children.
I think
right?
So. I think so. And we would have done an excellent job if we had become parents.
Oh, yes, we really would have.
Yeah. Ruth says, exactly.
Mom,
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Yeah, that's right. Careful, though. Don't do that too much. You don't want anyone reliving trauma with it. Oh, we'll have to put a trigger warning on the video.
So what are you guys, what are your thoughts, folks, about Beneath the Surface? Just let Kim know what sort of interpretation of it you're exploring.
Yeah, it's a good theme, Cal. Good prompt.
Oh, well, thank you, Kim.
Marion asks, is Cal using black ink or paint?
So it's gouache, which is paint, but it is it's acrylic gouache, which is a new thing. So gouache is traditional gouache is opaque watercolor, and graphic designers in the days before computers would use it to paint a nice, flat, even area of color. So one of the things that distinguishes gouache from watercolor is it's opaque, and distinguishes it from other kinds of paint is that it's flat and matte. So Liquitex and a few other makers, I think there's one called Flash, have come out with acrylic gouache. So in other words, it behaves like acrylic, so it's not resoluble. If you re-wet it, it doesn't. It's permanent. But it dries flat and matte and relatively even.
And high pigment load.
And
right?
very high pigment load. Yes.
Yeah.
So. And I've only played with it a very little bit, so I thought I'd break it out.
Got some wonderful comments on the theme, on what people are
okay,
exploring.
Great, yeah, well, let's hear it.
So Jane says, beneath the surface of our skin.
Right, yes.
I'm very interested in that too, Jane.
Yes.
I like exploring skin and viscera underneath. Françoise says, I'm under the surface of the sea.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Ruth says, beneath the surface of a woman all made up.
Yes.
Nice. Val has already posted hers, and it's under the water.
Val is nothing if not quick.
Val, I think you found your motivation.
Yeah, I'll say.
That's great.
A bunch of those thoughts occurred to me too. I was thinking about because race has been heavily on my mind and weighing me down. It's one of the things that I put on my list. I was thinking about the fact that we all bleed red. So I was thinking one of my ideas was to scratch through to some red through some black and white imagery. But then I thought that was a bit heavy. So I thought I might still do that for my own purposes because it's something I'm grappling with. But and I also did think about the fact that how like superficiality or the thing that what we show the world versus what's underneath. So yeah, there's so many nice, interesting, meaty reads once you get below the surface, right?
Barbara Godfrey, our first timer, says, I was thinking below the surface of ice, but not sure how to produce that effect. Which, it can be interesting trying to invent what you think the effect could, how you think you could make the effect. before you even try going to look up references, which you can do in the age of Google. You can look up. But I think it's interesting to use your imagination
Yeah,
first
that's a good point, Kim.
and just see what comes up, even if it's not what you intended or expected. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Gunta has a kind of profound one. I just, if you
Okay.
had something to say in relation to that first, I wanted you to say it.
No.
Okay. So Gunta says, I am trying to represent how elusive it is for me to grasp onto being able to forgive.
Wow. Yeah.
That's very profound. Marion, I am thinking of underwater creatures.
Yes. And it's metaphorically, like the still waters run deep, and the further you go below the surface, the stranger things get, right? Like
that's
both
literally
and figuratively, right? Absolutely, yeah. But it puts me in mind of when I was a kid and looking at either documentaries or in books at all the like super deep sea critters that like unbelievable, like the ones that create their own luminescence and have these like unbelievable shapes and so on.
Ricky says, how do you write that word quash? And she spelled it correctly, I just confirmed that. Oh, I see. Sorry, the paint word.
Right, yes.
Thank you.
Gouache, yes.
Yeah, Gerda has actually put the right
perfect. Thank you, Gerda. Thank you very much, Gerda.
Just getting caught up.
Mm-hmm. It's nice having my right-hand girl back.
Yes, you had a week without me, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I was kind of weak without you.
I bet your followers would disagree with that.
They were lovely, as you would expect.
Rebecca says, I'm thinking of beneath the surface of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Oh.
In the ocean. Again, that's an interesting so Rebecca, are you relying on your imagination in doing that, or are you doing image research, or a combination of both? I hope you don't mind my asking that.
No. In fact, that's something that you had mentioned.
Yeah, I thought it tied into that earlier.
Yeah, and it is an interesting thing because lots of things spring to mind before we've done an image search or done some research, and it's always good to do research, but it's also good, as Kim suggested, to sketch or write or get down some of your thoughts before that, because getting locked into what is can get in the way of what might be, right? And sometimes what we have in our mind actually communicates it better or gets at something better than the more prosaic, like, okay, this is what it actually looks like. It's like, oh, and I've done image searches like, okay, I've got this idea, I better do an image search. And I do an image search and it's like, I can't find what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So do what you're thinking of.
And I think, I'm sure it looks different than that. Like, like all evidence to the contrary, right? I've done an image search for that specific thing. And I end up going more with what I have in my mind. And I think it just makes it more me and more authentic.
The artist's imagination is hugely important. So that's good. Okay, we gotta go back. There are lots of comments here. Okay, Mia. Cal did not get his X-Acto knife out this time. Phew.
I did use it to cut the image, but not, and it will make its return, I promise.
Marion writes, yes, there's so much hard stuff going on. I want to keep my collage themes light and joyful.
Yes,
right now.
and that's absolutely, you know, depends on the nature of the kind of work you do. It also depends on what you look to your work to do for you.
And on the day.
And yeah, that was the next thing. And on the day, right? Some days I feel like tackling a difficult subject. Sometimes I just get tired by it, right? So our art serves many purposes, and one is to nurture us, right? So if dealing with something heavy when you're already down or it just feels like it, then it's a day to do something lighter. If it's a way, if you really feel the need to process something difficult, then it's a great way to do that too. So
she says, maybe I'll be brave enough to tackle heavier subjects in my art soon. Yeah, pick a robust day.
Yeah, pick a day.
You feel like stretching.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ricky thanks Gerda for the spelling. She'd actually seen the word before, but never knew how it was pronounced.
Right, right.
Yes, it is a little confusing with the 3 vowels in a row.
It is quite a vowel.
If you're not used to French, then especially. We, in Canada, we study, it's compulsory to study French to, I forget what grade, but that doesn't mean that everybody here speaks French by a long shot, but we have less excuse to not at least recognize how certain things would be pronounced. Adele says she's thinking of how COVID is now under everything. Yeah. And therefore influencing everything, right? I mean, influencing travel, influencing all of our decisions about activities and
under the influence.
Plans. Yeah.
Oh, that's more white than I planned. Oh well.
Oh well. You can always take the cap off and put some back.
I just realized that. Better not do it with my.
It's good that they've got a wide mouth underneath that.
That it really is.
Because it drives me crazy. Liquitex Basics, it's got this narrow hole. You take this big wide cap off, and it's got another narrow hole underneath.
It's like
really? You couldn't have done better than that? Ruth says, "Oh God, here come the puns." must have come up. Well, and quashing your gouache. I don't know. There's something there.
There is. And you'll notice I'm staying right out of it.
Rebecca has answered, saying a combination. I'm currently looking for images, but I think I might do something pretty empty. Interesting. Gerda says, below the surface to me is power, dominance, violence. How do you show that in your imagery without it being in your face and obvious? It can be apparent, but don't be didactic about it. Don't make the recognizable imagery literally be someone beating someone up. Would be my suggestion. What's your suggestion?
That's the kind of thing I often grapple with because I have a design background or a communication background, so I often go for things that are too direct. So
a really great design communicates powerfully without necessarily being didactic about it.
The best stuff does, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
think about all the designers you admire, for example. So you have to try different iterations, I would suggest, Gerda, because you have to do the obvious one first. you get it out of your system.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, that's too didactic or whatever. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, instead of what does this idea look like, you say, how do I express the nature of it, the feeling of it, the essence of it? What would communicate violence or turmoil without depicting it in a narrative sense? Ricky says, I'd like to look for the hidden meanings between the signs and symbols we see on the landscape, but I'm not optimistic. That sounds so intriguing, Ricky.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the search is worthwhile, even if you don't end up where you were hoping to get. Marion says, I like Cal's suggestion to use art to process some tough stuff. I think that's a hugely important part of the value or role of art.
It's a sort of a cliche Picasso quote, but he said there's truth to it, right? Like so many cliches, that writers have diaries and visual artists have sketchbooks, and art is a great way to non-verbally process your thinking.
And that's really powerful, because art therapy is powerful for a reason. Words can be limiting sometimes.
Yeah, they're very, words are great, and any writer will tell you how great they are, but they're very unequivocal, and they are very equivocal too, right? They can mean so many different things in different contexts, but images can't be pinned down even as much as words can, right? So
yeah. I also think cognitively, if you're processing difficult stuff, some experiences and feelings are pre-verbal. So imagery taps into the parts of our brains that can't find words yet. And that's powerful stuff. And you won't worry about searching for the right word. You can just process your way visually, searching for, as you work, the visual. You don't have to end up with something that feels finished. It's the actual visual processing that matters sometimes, not ending up with a neat and tidy result. Oh, there's so much there. I just think of my own studio practice with that, with the emotional content of what I do, and But you process difficult stuff through your signs, of all things that look so simple and direct and so on, but you actually process all kinds of and you distill it. You try and extract the essence of something, and that helps you.
Yeah, boiling it down to an essence is something that I'm interested in. I find it challenging, but it's also how I think.
It is how you.
Yeah, it comes from trying to design logos or trying to design sort of really strong communication. And I've been fascinated by the fact that something that is a very clear and diagrammatical and has very strong words can still be read many different ways.
It can still have nuance.
It has nuances. It's remarkable, actually.
Mia says, under the surface, what comes to mind is how thin the binding fabric of civilization is. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
It tears up quickly during stressful times, referring to and studying crowd behavior. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing that. We're also seeing astonishing amounts of kindness.
Yes. Thank goodness.
I mean, it's like it's such a time of extremes, isn't it?
It's something that I've been particularly aware of recently is how difficult democracy is to build and maintain, and how easy it is to destroy.
Yeah.
It's
There
like
isn't the will
it's like weaving the fabric is time consuming, and someone can come along and rip it very easily.
Yeah. So true. Ruth says colors can depict violence or turmoil, or shapes can also.
Yes, absolutely.
Just about any element of visual language can be used to support a feeling. Mark, direction, weight, size, shape, texture, contrasts of any kind, color, value. I mean, it just goes on and on. So that, every single element in your toolbox can support a feeling or work against it. Barbara Godfrey writes, I think color choices and movement in a piece can depict conflict/violence without being didactic.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I mean, it's wonderful when you look at, it's wonderful how you can look at work, even if it has recognizable imagery, it's not necessarily the recognizable imagery that's getting the mood and feeling across. Think of German Expressionism. Some of the imagery in terms of the actual, there are some ladies standing around in a town. Well, that's not what's getting the mood across. What's getting the mood across is shape and color and dissonance and angularity
and some angles and mark making, especially the way the marks are made, and like green flesh tones come to mind.
Yeah,
in a particular,
that's so natural.
So yeah, there, and that's actually those kinds of. That's an interesting thing to play with too, is because a lot of that stuff that you're talking about, Gerda, is stuff that's an undercurrent, is just below the surface, right? And so showing something that at first glance in many ways is like, that's normal, that what's strange, but then there's something that's like or
really abnormal. Yeah.
But and it takes us a little while to figure it out, like, it's because those flesh tones are weird, or because no one's looking at anyone, or there's that dark shadow. So De Chirico is also one who does a bunch of that sort of underlying right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sherry writes, I believe that if something is worth doing, it's worth doing 3 times. They say 3 times the charm. I see it as chapters of the same book. I love to explore a theme, idea, or technique.
I'm a big fan of taking more than one kick at something, just because you need time to develop your thinking around it. And oftentimes your first is just it gets you thinking, and then more ideas come as you come up with it. But it's like, okay. Every once in a while, of course, the first one comes out and it's like, wow, that worked. But usually it's like just enough to get going.
Response, and so you need to work further to get deeper.
When Kim and I used to brainstorm for graphic design in our business, we used to say we have to get the basic, simple, obvious ideas out first. So we'd say them, and we'd write them, and we'd draw them, and then we go, okay, so. And these are cliche and too obvious because of these reasons. We need to get at more this aspect or that aspect. And then but if you don't sort of say them or try them,
Yeah.
You know, often there's a part of it that's still relevant, right? So it's kind of like unless you go through it, you don't get past it.
Yeah. Mira said that she's looking at beneath the surface of the skies. And under the surface of the skies, you can see all kinds of life. Cool. That makes me think about the ancient Greek idea that our world is made up of a sequence of spheres, and the skies and the stars are actually spheres above us and around us.
Yeah. I think, is that where ether came from originally? The idea of ether? I think it might be.
I don't remember how it ties in. Certainly the same worldview. And Ruth Lugenbuehl. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
And I think she got stimulated by this discussion, so she's come to the chat. She said maybe we should work with the same cue for longer. Yeah, maybe.
Since it's since there's so much to find beneath the surface, right? Maybe the first one should have been surface.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh, see, missed opportunity.
Well, you know, you could make the surface next week, and then you could make the next week after that digging deeper.
Right. Yep. So the next one could be coming up for air.
Ricky says, I vote for that. It is very pregnant.
All right. Duly noted, everyone. Thank you. I think that's probably what I'll do.
Yeah. And, you know, some of you might shift what surface you're investigating.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Beneath what surface? What metaphor? What reality? Yeah.
Those look beautiful, Cal. Have you held those up to show them just like that?
I haven't.
I think people would enjoy seeing that.
So what I've been doing is finger painting with my gouache, and in fact, I'm classic. What is gouache best designed for? Being opaque, so I'm using it transparently. So
that's so great.
That's my list of words or phrases or ideas that I adult and burdensome.
You made them look fun.
The problem, yeah. Well, this is what happens, right? I'm talking about things and I'm just working away, so I'm not necessarily thinking what is the best expression of it. That said,
you'll find
there might be something interesting in the fact that they are bright. I don't know. So I was going to cut them into strips. I kind of like the way they look now, but I'm going to just see how it goes. I will cut them into strips. And we'll just see whether it leads anywhere productive or not.
Mia says, definitely 3 times develops ideas more fully. However, I'm not painting my kitchen cupboards ever again.
Yes, there are some things that it's fun or interesting or fulfilling to do more than once. Some things not so much, right?
Seriously. We're not going to rewire our house again either.
Yeah. Anything... Well, as soon as I start to say it, I realize there are some maintenance-y things that I like to do, but most maintenance-y things, I want to do it once, well, and be done with it.
I'd like the vacuuming to be like that.
Yeah. Why isn't vacuuming like that?
Yeah.
Like, I can do a good job of vacuuming, but once I've done it, I'm not interested in doing it for a very long time, and our house shows it.
Oh, dear. You and me both. By the time I finished, I learned how to use the brushes and paint properly. Yes, you do build skills that way, but then you're fed up, right? Yeah. Gunta says, hey, Cal and company, even though I am struggling with this project, it sure feels good to allow myself some creative time. Thanks for doing this, Jam XOX. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Thank you, Gunta, and thank you for also paying yourself the time, right?
Yeah.
Because
You need it.
We need it, right? I'm happier already because I haven't been making much. I've been doing other stuff, and I've got hands-on again, which makes me happier.
You were working on some signs recently, weren't you?
Yes,
Some new signs?
yeah. And signs are different because I do a lot of them do them on the computer, the design. So there's a lot of thinking and sketching, writing, and then there's sort of the mousing, but there isn't any of the sort of, it's not hands-on in the same way. So
yeah, I hear you.
So it is nice just to be working with in the physical world again.
I recently turned around a really lousy day by doing some jelly printing.
Yeah, Kim was having a really bad day, and she said, I think I'm just going to do some jelly printing. And I said, you need to. And so, like, probably 5 minutes in, you were feeling better, right?
Yeah, and an hour later, I was feeling even better.
Yeah. I think I'll cut a bunch of these, and then I'm just going to lay them over top to try out different options and just see how they look and play with what I've got so far. So the very first conception in my head was that these would sort of rain down and over top, but you could flip up and see below, but there'd be this like overwhelming number of them. Just all sort of falling down like this, obscuring the younger, more innocent, more happy-go-lucky me. Like that, but with the rest of them.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's the first idea, and I may go with that, but I'm gonna see what else.
Or you could have just one eye showing.
I also had the thought that they could all crowd in from all different directions with just a little bit of the eyes showing exactly. And I actually envisioned that they would write downwards like they were raining. But there's something interesting about the word being at the end of like a lollipop of there's something fun about the words at the very end of it.
Yeah.
So watch this space and we'll figure out what's.
Debbie says, just listening to your voices is helping me, but I'm working on printing photographs to frame. Are those for gifts or for your own place, Debbie? Mio says she just peeked at your new collages on your website and they are amazing.
Thank you, Mia. That's nice of you to say.
Yeah, Cal is one of Cal's current projects is finally scanning in the backlog of collages that he's done so many collages that he hasn't documented and getting them up in batches on his website. So revisit his website again in a couple of weeks and you'll probably see more. Mia asks, were the words meaningful to you as a child? So I guess you better explain those
Oh,
words.
so yeah, no, the words are to do with adult worries, concerns, the things that sort of fill my head as an adult. So some of them are positive and some are not. And so I tried to pick some things that are prosaic and some things that are more profound. Like, so there are things like what's for dinner, lawn care, bills, 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 white privilege, lean muscle mass, carbon footprint, learning software, doing work that matters, traveling more before I die, honoring friendship. So the things that either occupy my thoughts or weigh me down or both, or the idea that they're sort of crowding in on obscuring the younger, more innocent me was sort of the idea, who is beneath the surface nonetheless.
Debbie answers some of her son's wedding for our
for
house.
The photos, yeah.
And she's also, one's going to be a gift to her 93-year-old mother's boyfriend.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fabulous, isn't
yeah,
it?
that is fabulous.
Of her as a little girl.
Oh,
how wonderful.
That's great.
Yeah. And then Mia says, in response to your word thing, brain chatter. And that's something that that's a major thread in your artwork, whatever the medium, right?
Yes. So we've talked about the purpose of art, the many, many purposes of art. So much of my art I can now trace back to, like, I couldn't write an artist statement to save my life a few years ago, but now I realize most of it is about personal therapy. Like, it's about figuring things out, figuring myself out. Brain chatter has figured in what, dozens of pieces of my
some of your most
artwork.
popular pieces.
Yeah. So, like my painting, Shut Up Brain.
And what was that one with the two conversations with the two lobes of the brain?
Yeah,
forget what that was called. I think it had a good title.
Thinking While Making. It's a piece that has stripes, and it has two sides of the brain. And in the stripes, the stripes are alternating red and white, and in all the red stripes are like positive things that one thinks about while one's making art, and the white stripes are all the negative things one thinks about while making art. And
you could have sold that 6 times.
Yeah, it really resonated with people. Yeah. So
you made prints of it, I think.
Yes, I did make prints of it.
So.
All right, posture. That's what this one says. Except that's a problem for the camera. So.
Yeah, that's great. We need a taller.
Yeah,
there you go.
Lowered the chair a little bit.
That works.
Except now I'm getting too close to my artwork.
It's all right. You can get perspective later.
Yeah.
Philippa says, I was late joining the group today because I was looking at all the amazing collages that everyone has been doing.
Isn't that great, Philippa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you for doing that, Philippa. I have not had time to do one right now because I am so busy painting. Smile.
Oh, well, painting is great.
You've been doing Philippa, some great figure paintings I noticed on Facebook.
Yes.
With some of the, I think, live online sessions. I think she's been painting doing that, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Philippa.
Yeah, some really great figurative paintings you've been posting, Philippa.
Yeah. I keep meaning to go to one of the live model sessions, but it just hasn't worked out yet. I'm going to do it though, because I really need a little of that time too. Mia says, "Shut up, brain. Love it." Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Did you make a sign that was related to that idea as well? You have a sign that has a brain in it, don't you?
I'm not bringing any to mind. But,
Okay.
but
well, maybe you need to make a sign.
Yeah, I have made works about staying open or open minds.
Open minds. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
There's some kind of brain thing on a sign, but yeah.
Yeah, recurring themes.
Marion writes, this jam has helped expand my creative brain. I'm using collage in the acrylic work I'm doing now. I also find the collages on the website so inspiring. Thanks everyone for sharing.
Yes, thank you everybody, because it's so great to see other people's creativity, and it's also, I find, and I'm sure you guys the same way, to see on the same prompt how many different ways people go.
It's a conversation.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because there's a common thread, right? So it is a conversation. It's a really great word for it.
Yeah.
And it's a visual conversation, and then the comments are like we're talking about the work, almost like we're talking in person. So
yeah.
The strip I'm cutting out right now is what's for dinner, and I happen to know, which is always a relief, that what's for dinner. It's going to be simple roast chicken. And Kim will be happy because she likes that.
Oh, I do. I really do.
This one's a 4-letter word: maintenance.
The sad thing is we're both bad at maintenance.
Yeah.
We can do a sprint on a project, get something done, but maintenance is our Achilles heel.
And I know it's penny wise and pound foolish. We have suffered many a time from not doing the necessary maintenance, but
yeah. I think it's hilarious that you have a giant palette for a very small area of little dabs of paint. Whereas I usually have little palettes overflowing with mountains of paint.
And you are not a little palette person. You use lots of little palettes. I don't know why. But my palette, I robbed one of yours, big ones, because my big one has a bunch of dried paint in it, which I think is only fair because I often clean her palettes for her. So not often enough, she exclaims.
Not often enough. That's right. Where is our team of assistants? Yes. We'll have to work on that for 2021, eh?
That's right.
Well, I was going to, if COVID hadn't happened, there's so much in life that
that's it.
People are saying that.
A lot of sentences this year have started that way, haven't they?
But if COVID hadn't happened, my intention was to contact schools to see about getting some interns from students who are seriously interested in art.
Right. To
Have
come
some-
get some experience
some
and
of
help
the-
you out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an arts high school in Brampton and
Is there one?
Mississauga,
Is there one in Brampton? I know there are.
Mayfield.
Oh, okay.
Mayfield. That's
Right.
I don't know if that's still Brampton or not, but I consider it
Yeah.
Brampton.
Yeah. No, it's close to the Caledon border, but
Yeah, so I was going to contact some of the art
that's now ringing a bell.
department heads or art teachers at the serious programs so that I would get students who were seriously interested and on the ball and exchange some mentoring and little training for some labor.
Yeah.
So that'll just have to be put off until the COVID situation is properly contained.
How did that happen? That's very.
Did it not trim properly? Is it flaring?
It is flaring.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So put the ruler on the paper part. Better?
Better. Not perfect, but
Just consider that you being wild and crazy and loose.
that is me being wild and crazy and loose.
So I forget who commented that Cal had not got out his knife, but he did manage to find a way to use it.
Yeah.
But someone else could have used scissors, so you know.
All right. I think I've sort of figured it out. I think it's going to be like this, but attached at the top.
Yeah.
And going over my face in some places, leaving other bits, and sometimes going over top of each other. So.
Will you take the top green painter's tape off so you can fasten those just outside of the photograph, or are you going to fasten them at the top of
I was
the
thinking
photograph?
like a little bit here, but
Right.
then leaving the rest loose.
Okay.
So.
Ricky is asking whether you will keep the green painter's tape or will take it off.
I will take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. The green painter's tape was just to keep the black paint from going beyond the edges.
And now the glue strip you're going to be applying.
Yes.
Right? To keep
And
the
in
edges clean.
fact, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I had been thinking that I would take it off, but I'm not going to take it off now because that makes more sense to just, okay. So now the question is, okay, so.
Debbie has a question for me.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you go for it.
Debbie, the traditional, my days have been packed, or I would have been in touch earlier to remind everybody in the tradigital course that it is booked to start again this Wednesday at usual time, 2:00. So I will email. Yeah, the days are just packed, but I will email tonight to make sure everybody knows. Marion says she has to leave now.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
this
Thanks so much,
afternoon
Marilyn.
Marion.
Marion.
Bye, Marion. See you next time.
Yeah.
I hope. And Cal, please tell what your course in the garden will be about.
So art in the garden is art springing from what we find in our gardens.
Or in other people's gardens.
Or in other people's gardens.
Yeah,
that you photograph. But it is about art relating to flowers or foliage or plantings or gardens themselves. But we're also going to extend it beyond. It's not going to be a traditional painting flowers kind of thing. It's going to start off a little more like that with some observational stuff, but then we're going to get more and more abstracted and more adventurous. So, and that course is full for spots during the live class, but I am, like Kim is doing with actually both my courses, if they're full for that, you can still join it and take video only. And in other words, you have to watch the video after the fact. You can't join the live class because there are only so many people I can juggle, and it's only fair to keep it to the 15, I think it is. So, but you can email me a question or two, and you can participate with the Facebook group and watch the video after the fact. So it's
very close to the live experience.
Yeah, it's not quite the same, but it's.
And Mia, yes, Mia. I just give you a 4-minute warning.
Oh, okay.
3:26.
Right. Thank you.
Mia says, almost time to say goodbye. So nice to spend the afternoon with you, Kim and Cal. Thank you for your generous time.
Oh, likewise, Mia.
Wonderful company and inspiration.
The inspiration is mutual.
Yeah. Jane says, Kim, when you say digital class, is that the Instagram, Facebook? Jane, it isn't that one, but I am planning to offer the Instagram as a workshop, and I can. It might be a 3-session workshop, just based on past experience, and I can throw in a little bit of Facebook, a few skills that I notice people need but don't necessarily have. Mia says, so can we pay for your course and state video only in the payment box? That's exactly the right way to do it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, my contemporary mixed media course has been full for a while, and so I've got a few people in the video only right now. It likewise will have has a Facebook group that people are joining right now in advance of the class, and so on. Sherry says, looking forward to seeing what's under the surface. Thanks for this session. Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Me too.
And if you take 3 cracks at it, we'll be delighted to see all 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know you post a lot of them, right, Sherry? So thank you. Yeah. She is an active poster now that she's on Facebook, right?
That's great. One genuinely good use for Facebook, right?
Yes, exactly. Kim, something that Kim taught me, which I'm very grateful for, a few years ago now, is she said, like I said, what people use social media for, I'm not interested in. Like, it seems like cat videos and so on. And she said, it's social. And just like any other social situation, you can raise the level of conversation or you can lower it. And so she is always engaged with it in a very real, meaningful, connective way. And watching her, how she did that, I thought, okay, now I get it, And so that's one of the things I feel about our Facebook group. Absolutely.
Annie asks, for art in the garden, instead of cuttings, can we just sit in our garden? I think it goes pretty beyond that, doesn't it? Cuttings?
Well, she's asking about the first class in particular.
I see.
If you can see it and you can get different angles on what you're drawing from, as long as you can get your Wi-Fi signal there, Annie, absolutely. And I know you were watching one of Kim's studio parties from your garden, so
yeah,
so
that's right.
Yeah, so why not?
Jane asks how much your garden course is video only, Cal.
It is the same cost, just because it is a reasonable cost. So it is the same price. So it's $100. There isn't a difference between the video only or the in-class one.
In the fall, our prices are going to go up a little bit.
Yeah,
and
slightly.
Then the video only will be the price that everything is now per class, $25 per class. And then, but the live seats will be a little more expensive.
Right. She's got her thinking a little further ahead than I do, but yeah. That will probably be the strategy.
I hope you don't mind my taking the liberty of saying that, because usually you follow suit.
I do usually follow suit, and I probably will.
Yeah. So we've had to do a lot of
figuring these things
on
out.
our feet about business things in the new reality. So it's good. It's been a good impetus for that. But just so you know, Debbie says, thanks Kim and Cal for always being helpful and inspirational. Appreciate your generosity of time and ideas.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. Nice to have you along.
Yeah. It's 3:31, dear. So,
all right. So
I want to glue a couple more.
I'm going to do just a few more minutes, and then I will share where it's at. How about that? So I think I'll aim for about 3:40. But if you have to leave now, I know it's 3:30, so that's completely cool.
You can always check on the replay to see him holding up the.
Yeah. Well, I can hold it up now, and then I will.
Yeah.
So
there you go, because people are leaving.
Yeah. So there's where it's at right now, and with these sort of concerns, brightly colored concerns falling down, but I plan to layer them up some more and obscure some, but not all of my face. Yeah. So I'll do a few more and do one more quick look in a couple of minutes.
Mia says, love being in your graceful presence. Bye till next time.
Oh, thank you, Mia.
How lovely. Adele says, thanks for giving of your time and expertise. Thank you,
You're very
Adele.
welcome, Adele. Thank you for joining us.
Sherry says, go roast that chicken. What time should I arrive?
Not sure. I haven't checked how much it weighs yet, so. I'm actually next thing I'm gonna do is head out for a little walk, because it looks nice and not so hot. So I'm gonna go out and get a few minutes.
It's such a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
That it isn't so hot. Maybe I'll go with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I have to send that thing anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure that part out.
Jane says, all sounds fair in pricing. Thank you, Jane. Francoise says, the conversation on the topic was very interesting. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for engaging on such an interesting. Yeah. I love the fact that we always get on to something interesting and meaty.
Yeah,
it's quite lovely.
Annie Bentley says, like bangs. Wink.
Yeah, they are like bangs, aren't they?
They are.
They're kind of like the bangs that I would have cut on Kim if bangs were just about the only thing I didn't cut on your hair. And
my hair does. My older hair doesn't do well with bangs. When I was young, I had better bangs, but
yeah,
I had such thick hair when I was young. So, Gunta says, "Bye, guys. See you Thursday."
See you, Gunta. See you on Thursday. And
which course is on Thursday?
Collage. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Rebecca says, thanks, Cal and Kim, for another wonderful jam. Appreciate it so much.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Say hi to Kirk.
All right. So I'm going to glue one more on here.
Yeah. Just Still 22 people watching. Just
Okay, good to know.
It's not
Yeah.
like
It's not like it's
everybody's left.
Right. Yeah. So this is the sort of the first layer, but they're sort of more or less evenly spaced, but I'm going to put additional ones that will fall at different layers, sometimes a little longer, a little shorter. So some words you'll be able to read, some you won't. But always with this sort of looseness so you can flip up to sort of see what's underneath. So I don't know how it's going to work beyond that. Like when I scan it, it'll all be flat, and but it'll have a dimensional aspect. I'll probably shoot it this way too, so that you can.
You're giving me an idea for a mixed media piece.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, this is kind of mixed media,
same,
right?
But I'll have some
of the
shared aspects. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good because I need to make some samples for my course. So
yeah,
it's good to. Jane says, very clever project you did today, Cal. Good thinking.
Oh, thank you, Jane. Every once in a while, right? It works.
Mira says, thank you, guys. You make me breathe. See you on Thursday.
Thank you, Mira.
And say hi to Alfredo.
Yeah, hi to Alfredo and Isadora if she comes over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is going to take me longer than the jam to get done, so.
Rebecca says it reminds her of her 3D self-portrait she did in Halliburton.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember that. Did I see that?
We probably
did, but I don't remember. I remember the image transfers experiments, but not that. I might recognize it if I saw it. Rebecca says, I don't know if you saw it wasn't in your classes. Yeah, so we might not have seen it. Okay. They did a lot of stuff that we weren't involved in.
They did.
Right? An awful lot of stuff.
It's intensive, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's weird. This is the first year in years that we've not gone up to Halliburton to teach something.
Yes, it's
because of the summer program being canceled. It's just it's quite bizarre, really.
It's hard to wrap one's head around, actually.
Yeah.
We've taught in the summer program since I think the first course I had that ran was 2010, so it's been 10 years or 9 years.
I'm thinking.
And I think I may have pitched stuff before then, so
yeah.
But not had it run. But yeah.
And I started teaching there right around that time too, maybe the year after.
Yeah. So
2010 was that experimental drawing course, right?
No, that was even earlier because that one was in.
Oh, was that 2008
or 7 or 8 or 9? I forget. But going up to Halliburton, I think it was.
I was in Alberta.
Yeah, and you drove
back. At my
Yeah.
residency. No, I flew back.
Flew back, right.
Because I couldn't drive back in time. Then flew back out because it was your first course and you were freaked out. So I registered.
Greater love. So my mentor, Peter, I'll tell this story and then we'll call it, we'll wrap. My mentor, Peter Koliznik, now dearly departed, who I had taken some courses with in Halliburton and at Koffler Center for the Arts, called me up and said, hey, you want to teach? And I heard my voice say yes, and like, what are you saying yes to that for? You don't know how to teach, And so I ended up subbing for him because he had double booked himself, or at least that's what he told me. I'm not sure that it was actually true, but
he had been encouraging Cal to consider teaching at that point.
So I taught a week-long intensive for Halliburton at OCA. That he
OCAD.
was OCAD, yeah. And yeah, Kim, bless her, I had and Ruth Lugenbuehl, who's on the call today, was one of the students there, my first ever course. And Kim, bless her, took the course to help it, A, to help it run, and B, to give me the support as I was freaking out. And yeah, she not only did she do that, she flew back from Alberta, where she was at the time.
Parked my car at a hotel while I was in.
Yeah. And then and came and took the 5-day course and then flew back to Alberta. This is a great way to make money, right? Teach a course and have your wife fly 2 ways to come and take it. So yeah. Anyway, it was greatly appreciated, and it was a special week. So
it was an extraordinary week.
It was an extraordary week.
It was a beautiful debut.
There were it was a very small class, 6 people, I think, but just magic.
It really was magic. Yeah.
Anytime you sort of do something at first, it's more like that, I think. But it was.
Unless it's not.
Sometimes it really isn't, right? And sometimes those are the people who never teach again, right? But yeah, that one was definitely a very positive teaching experience. And I'm still teaching, so there you go. So it must have worked. So anyway, here on this side you can see just what it looks like to have more than just a couple of layers. But we'll see how it goes. So still got a bunch of words. So
before we sign off, let me just share a few comments.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Your story has elicited some comments.
Right.
Sherry says, "You're a natural teacher, Cal." Annie says, "Lovely." Sherry adds, "You're a natural mentor, Kim."
Yes, she is.
Ruth says, and it was very worthwhile. That was when I got the kick. That's so beautiful, Ruth.
Oh.
And she says, thanks so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it was a gift having you in that class.
Yeah, that was and ever since. So
I had so much fun as your student. It was great.
It was magic.
Yeah.
So, and thank you, Sherry. It means a lot to me when teachers, and I'm sure you were an excellent teacher, knowing you as I do, as much of it. Not well enough, but as well as I know you would be an excellent teacher. So
no question.
Yeah. So anyway, we should call that it. But thank you so much, and we'll see you. We'll do some more work below the surface next week, and I'll put the prompt, just the reminder, and the prompt this week for that too. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later. I'll leave Kim on the comments for a couple of minutes.